Make sure to go and check out all of our latest merch at paddockmerch.com. We've got loads of new designs and even more products coming all the time. With 2 or more items, you get 20% off using the code Paddock20. And if you remember, there's even bigger discounts available. Link is in the description.
Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is Paddock Live. Joining me as always is my good friend and colleague, Joe Smith. Joe, how are we doing?
All right, how are you doing?
I'm all right, man. I feel like we're getting, I don't know, I feel like things are calming down ever so slightly. Ever so slightly.
That, and we hear articles like we're in
I know
tonight.
that might sound like a bit of a contradiction considering some of the stories I'm going to be saying. It doesn't feel quite as hectic as it did yesterday or the day before.
No.
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. So you guys can let me know in the comments. Do get involved in the comments. It is live, like I said, and as you know, because you're watching it. So let us know what you think about Ole Gunnar Solskjær. That's one story we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
Ovs. Edinson Cavani.
Yeah.
His injury issues, if you can use that word.
I think you can at this point.
It is a shame we can't see more of him. We'll get to that in a minute. Paul Labille Pogba, because what's his life without a Paul Labille Pogba story?
Love it or hate it.
Who are we without his stories
Who will we
to
be when he
rain
leaves?
down on us like drops from the sky? A Maguire replacement, which sounds shocking to say, but it's a story, and more than one papers reporting it, although we have to get a bit of a deep dive to see whether they're all us reporting it from one source. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and also, are we losing faith in Ole?
Are the players
losing faith? Because we had Laurie Whitwell on here last night, didn't we? And it wasn't great if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjær to hear what we're hearing, and it's all very bizarre as well that everyone's off on their rolls. I know Ole's gone to Norway and the players have been given a week off. You think this would be a time to just get in, get training. Even if it's just let's go through some tactical stuff or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think about all those things. Get involved in the chat and hit like and subscribe if you're not subscribing. And also, Yomi Nelson, who's a new member to the Academy. Thank you for your support and welcome. Right, shall we start with Edinson Cavani then?
Yes.
Because he's been talking about his injuries. Because it's been a bit of a stop-start time for him.
Yeah.
And you can see there from the graphic that he's undergoing treatment again, because he's confirmed that he's had a tendon injury and understood that he's been struggling with his problem all season. He's spoken about it, and he said that the issue was like this: before starting the season, I had discomfort in the tendon. It made me spend a couple of weeks out until I began to gain some minutes in my team. I had to go back to the national team, always with a bit of pain, but with the hope that it would disappear. It was improving, but after Tottenham, it started coming back. They are difficult injuries, and I decided to have the treatment so it does not continue. So it continues to get worse, and to recover as soon as possible to be fit for my team and the national team. This is the problem, innit? I mean, Edinson Cavani obviously wants to play as much as he can, both for Manchester United and Uruguay. But it's that whole thing of Uruguay that's causing a bit of consternation with some United fans, because he's certainly not got the injury with his national team, but he's not helping himself, or he's not helping matters when he's going to Uruguay or to play for Uruguay whilst carrying a bit of an injury. Yeah. And then we're not getting as many games out of him as we want. He missed, I think at one point last season, he missed 9 out of 10 games, didn't he? There was a run of 10 games and he missed 9 of them. Admittedly, some of them were for a ban, but he has had injury issues. Yeah. Obviously, he's missed several games this season. We could do with him. Yeah. He's a useful member of the team. He gives us a different option. He's a different type of player to the other attackers we've got. What do you make of all this? Because we love Cavani, don't we? He's becoming a bit of a cult hero. But the injuries are an issue, because I know I said, can I say that? I think I can, actually. Because we do see him missing quite a lot of games, and obviously the tendon thing's the latest one.
Yeah, he's not Ronaldo, is he? In terms of his availability and his fitness and the way he's sort of been able to play week in, week out. He's obviously keeping himself in great shape. That's not the point I'm making. He's just someone who, like most 34-year-olds, pick up more injuries than he did when he was younger. But again, he is missing games, and it's annoying. And it's not annoying. He's not being annoying in what he's doing. You're not blaming him, but it is frustrating when, Greenwood hasn't really featured up front this season so far. Ronaldo obviously plays every week, but is still 36 and should have an option there for him to be rested. And he does miss games, and he did miss games last season, and he's going to miss more games now. We don't even have a timeline for it. It's come at a difficult time with Paul Pogba now being out for 2.5 months. This is the problem with Paul Pogba as well, because last season we heard it's going to be a few weeks. Ended up being nearly 3 months or over 2 months he was out for. So, the current reports are 10 weeks, but it could be even longer than that. And then Cavani drops as well, and it's a really tough time to be getting these injuries. And again, if it's something he was already feeling, now he's having treatment, you've got to assume it's going to be at least a month, because otherwise he would have had it already. If there was just treatment available that would be a week or two, he would have already had it, because he's missed games for this injury already this season, by the sound of what he said there. So I'm assuming it's going to be a relatively lengthy absence. It's just frustrating, isn't it? It's not his fault, but again, this is one of the problems you get when you sign 34-year-old stopgaps. It's not his fault. He's a great player when he's fit, but he's going to be injured more often, and that makes things more difficult for Manchester United, and that's the problem. We don't really have a long-term plan up front at the moment, and maybe that's Mason Greenwood, but the more strikers we bring in, the less he gets to play up there. Yeah,
it does. I mean, it's the other sort of frustrating thing from a Manchester United point of view, if you can say that, is the fact that he does want to play for his country. Understandably, he's 34, he hasn't got many years left, so he wants to play. He's
last World
obviously
Cup, probably next
very
year.
Proud of playing for his country. And when you've got niggles and knocks and even injuries, and you're going away with Uruguay, which just the travelling alone isn't great, and then actually playing for the team, when you're carrying something, it's only going to sort of extend the period at times when you're not available for Manchester United. And let's face fans, none of us, unless we're Uruguayan, care about what he does for Uruguay. We just want to see him playing week in, week out for Manchester United. And there was this theory that once Ronaldo came in with Mason Greenwood as an option, maybe we don't need Cavani that much, but we obviously do. You just mentioned it there, and he has become a player that is almost integral to Manchester United. So seeing him missing games is really frustrating. I've seen Cam Waters in the chat talking to himself, I think, talking about tellies.
He's Googled cheap TV.
Something about good to see us on the telly
sale.
or something, and then he said, "Oh, you're not on the telly. You're not that cool." Okay. Get involved in the chat. Let us know what you think about Edinson Cavani. Yeah. Do we miss him? Do you think we need to be sort of have a better system where we don't rely on Edinson Cavani? Should it just be about Ronaldo and then the likes of Mason Greenwood? Does anyone still hold out hope that Marcus Rashford can play down the middle? Is that gone? Anthony Martial down the middle? Is that gone?
The problem with Cavani is he's still so good that you do miss a player like that, and you do rely on a player like that. But the problem is he's 34. So regardless of how good he is, he's not going to play every week. So it's a testament to him that he's so good, but just simply because of his age and he's not quite as physically gifted as Ronaldo is, he can't play every week. Therein lies an issue, where you still rely on him because he's, like you said, an integral member of the team. He's probably, arguably our sort of most natural finisher, even ahead of Ronaldo. Obviously, he's added that to his game like no one ever has. But you rely on a player like that because he's so good, but because of his age, he's not going to be able to be relied on physically, and there's a problem there. And that's, maybe you can question some of the recruitment from United, but it's not his fault he's injured, is it?
Christopher Sings in the Super Chat says, "Good show, lads. Jay, pay your tram tickets. Give me £1.79.
What is this?
Right, he saw me, right? On the tram, you have an app, and I have an app. And do you know what?
I thought you'd got past this phase.
I'm gonna. I know this is great, telling me, sort of flicking through my phone, but there you go. There's my app. There you go. Where is that? See, so there's my app, and you just show that to any of the inspectors that go.
So, your man. So whose phone is this? First of all, whose phone is this?
Ignore the pictures of random people on it. I don't know. Some crazy person just added it randomly.
One day, anytime travel card. Customer name Sarah Green. Who the effing hell is Sarah Green?
Sarah Green is the presenter from Going Live in the early 80s.
That's who it is, yeah. She lives in Manchester now, and you've stolen her phone. Take him away.
So he saw me. People tap in and out, don't they, on the Metrolink? I don't. I just have that app. I know I don't buy it when I see the inspectors getting on. That's just wrong. I buy it well before I get on the tram, obviously. So he thought I hadn't swiped in and out, but I don't need to do that. So I'm glad we cleared that up, and thanks for the £1.79. Anyway, let's move on. Players losing faith. Yeah, Joseph.
This is the big one.
We had this yesterday, didn't we? Laurie Whitwell on the Tier 1 podcast. It was great chatting to him. We could chat to Laurie all day long. Really good stuff. Writer for The Athletic. If you're not doing, check him out on the Twitter and check out his work on The Athletic as well. He was telling us that, some players are losing faith in Ollie. You try to press him. Which ones is it? He said he couldn't.
I did my job as a journalist, as an investigator.
Yeah. Don't get an easy ride when you come on this channel, Sunshine.
He said, some players are losing faith in journalists. In Ole, I said, which players? And he said, can't tell you.
No, he said, some players, and you went, what players?
Who've been talking to?
Whack the cup off the table. So
listen, the bullshit went well.
Listen, Sunshine.
No. Grabbed him by his neck like up against the wall.
This isn't fucking Sky Sports now.
Yeah.
You're in Bandit country, boy.
I said that. And then he said, can't tell you that. But it's not just him reporting this. There are multiple rumours. Some people seemingly more likely to, or more willing to say names than others. Different rumours of senior figures. I think Van der Beek's an obvious one. We kind of know that. Rumours of Bruno, rumours of Ronaldo, rumours of Pogba being sort of some of these names. That's a big issue. And I think that, for me, is the reason why this feels different to other times. To me, this is, a few weeks ago we did a debate on the channel where I sort of put this down to bad form. This was before the Leicester game, before obviously anything after that. And I put this run down to bad form. We are going into the realms of we don't listen to the manager anymore. Like lost the dressing room type territory to me because...
France 2006.
Yeah, because there's one thing having bad form, but we're playing so badly, it's like... We are tactically worse now than we ever have been under Ole, and he hasn't got worse as a coach. So to me, there is a disconnect between what he is telling the players and what they are doing, and that in itself is a damning thing, regardless of whether those tactics he is saying would work if they're implemented. They aren't being implemented, and therefore I can't see how this is going to turn around.
You can see there from the graphic, it says there, players are losing the faith in the way the team's progressing. Yeah. The board still wants to back him, but I think if Manchester United lose to Watford, I don't see how they will continue with him. I mean, it sounds mad, doesn't it, that a game against Watford can decide your fate.
But again, though, that's it, because you can... I know, obviously, the manner of the defeats was... I don't need to even say it, we all know it was above and beyond just losing to Liverpool. But you can sort of mentally defend losing to big teams. If we show another gutless, tacticless, sort of aimless performance against Watford, that almost says more than those games, because... 5-0 isn't the same as 1-0 to Liverpool, but, we lost to Liverpool, we've lost to Liverpool before. If we then follow that up with a spineless performance against Watford, I don't know how he hangs on, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be a massive problem because, especially in the context of the last few games, it's not just the fact you've lost to the Scousers and to City, which is horrible, especially from a fan's point of view, but we also lost at home to Aston Villa, who subsequently sacked the manager because he lost every game since.
Tottenham.
Yeah, we beat Tottenham,
well.
But my point is about dropping points, is we dropped points against Everton, who've been pretty lacklustre this season, and then you look at it and you see Leicester haven't been great this season, they've been in the bottom half of the table practically the entire season, they beat us relatively comfortably.
Oh, no, that was really comfortable.
So you're looking at these results against the likes of Aston Villa, against the likes of Leicester. If you add Watford to that, who again, they're not exactly set the world alight. I mean, they sacked the manager early in the season. It does show you that it can be problematic. Kel Dunley says France 2010, Jay, they got to the final in 2006. No, in 2006, that's the point. The players took over. The players, this is what I was getting at. The players stopped listening to Raymond Domenech. And literally, I think it was Zidane, Tram, Makalele, and those type of players more or less got into that final by sidelining him.
Because this was a man. We'll do this.
Yeah, because this was a manager who didn't like to put Scorpios in defence and all that sort of nonsense. Cheers for the content, guys. So in 2010 they imploded. They just stopped listening to each other and started fighting with each other.
Is that true about the star signs thing?
Yeah, apparently he was into astrology, and I think he said a comment once about not liking to have Libras or whatever, or I don't know, a star sign in a certain position. And obviously, if you're up against it, it's like Glenn Hoddle with Eileen Drury. People don't want to hear that spirituality or other wilderness. They want to hear tactics and form, not I'm going to put my trust in the way the stars are aligning or whatever. It's
what star sign are you?
Capricorn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Do you believe in all that?
Not really, no. I don't.
Classic Capricorn.
I know.
Classic. Does what it says on the tin.
It does.
What's next?
Now we're going to talk about Ollie a little bit more as well, because I don't like to sort of labour the point with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but we're not just going to ignore the stories that are being said, because it's our job to sort of report what is being reported. And there are lots of different stories doing the rounds about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, about where we're up to, and about just, how safe his job is.
Yeah.
You can see there from the graphic, reports suggest it's a matter of when, not if, Solskjaer will be sacked by United. And I think, one of the reports was from Neil Custis, so you can take that with a pinch of salt if you want, or if you trust him, it's up to you. But then there's other papers are reporting it as well, that there is a feeling that he is just on borrowed time, and it's almost like we haven't got a replacement. That's the issue. And if the board can settle on someone they're happy with, someone else has come in. My worry with the Watford thing is, like you were saying there, if he does lose to Watford and they say, right, we cannot continue like this. This is just, it's got to change. Do they then promote someone like Michael Carrick to the first team, to manager, because they sack Ole? Does that work in any way?
Yeah.
I personally don't think it does, because I think you've still got the same problems you had with Ole with Michael Carrick, because he's part of his staff. But I think he could be at a point where you go, right, we've got to get rid of Ole. We haven't got anyone to come in. Right, it's Carrick, you've got to step up. You know, like Spurs did with Ryan Mason or whatever, where you just go, no, I'm not saying no. You know, like, who's the guy that can just take over from the coaching staff?
Well, like we did with Giggs.
Yeah, like Giggs, you step up. Yeah. Can it be Michael Carrick, you step up?
But the difference is, Ryan Mason, I think he had...
I mean, I'm using him as an example.
No, of course, but it's a fair one.
Because
he didn't... I don't know how many games he had, but it's certain... I don't think it was this early in the season, was it? Maybe it was. Maybe I'm being wrong there, but...
Well, it was just before the...
League Cup final, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was literally, I think, 2 weeks before that, wasn't it? Or a week before that.
It certainly wasn't 8 months left in the season like we've got at the moment. This whole thing of anyone's better than Ollie, get rid of him, that is really worries me, that. And if this is true that they're talking about, you know, they've finally gone from saying, no, he's the right man, to we know he isn't the right man, it's just getting this succession sorted, that wouldn't surprise me. I think the obvious thing is, and like Laurie said yesterday, like we seem to be seeing, there isn't an obvious person to replace him with that is available that will come now.
Yeah.
Like the main, you know, Laurie mentioned yesterday, Pochettino's one that keeps being mentioned, but he's I think
100%. If PSG had sacked Pochettino by now, we'd have gone for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Pochettino fan, but I think there's certainly obviously members in this board board that rate him.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think they'd have been put off by the fact he's flopped at PSG, which he has flopped. He's still got this season.
Yeah.
He might do well this season.
But he didn't win the league with them
last season. Not winning the league and doing nothing in Europe. That's not good for PSG. They expect at least to be getting to the sort of the last stage of the Champions League and winning the league, and he didn't do either of those things, did he?
I can't remember whether they got to the Champions League.
Well, City knocked them out, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing that it can't get worse than Ole, it can. It definitely can get worse than Ole. There are worse coaches and maybe worse managers, should I say, than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because seemingly up until maybe the last few weeks, his man management has been excellent. We can say that without much question. Maybe he's not quite stern enough, quite strict enough to really take him all the way, but there are managers that are as maybe tactically sort of questionable as Ole, and are worse at managing people than Ole. You could have a real nightmare on your hands if someone falls out with players, or you start picking this, or you start losing games. We could finish 8th. That's not out of the question. I know you could maybe say, well, we're going to do that under Ole. Maybe we will, but we don't know. And the history tells us that we won't finish 8th under Ole. I don't know. That's my worry. This short-term thing, it's not short-term enough. From November till May is a long time. You can win trophies in that time. You can finish 8th in that time. There can be a meltdown in that time. It's such a long time to give a manager to be temporary.
Do you think there's any... I mean, I'm just asking the question. I don't believe it myself. Do you think there's any value whatsoever in the board, or whoever Woodward, or whoever it is, coming out and just saying, listen, he's got to end the season no matter what, to get it into the players? This is your manager. Don't be coming thinking you're just going to... Don't turn up and he's going to get sacked. He's here to the end of the season.
If they did that, the part of me would almost respect it in its...
decisiveness or whatever.
In its decisiveness.
Because it's an answer to the problem. It might not be the right one, but it wouldn't be what
I'd do.
No, I wouldn't.
But the part of me would go, you know what? Fuck it, let's rally around it.
Yeah.
If that's what we're hearing, it's not up to us, that's what they've said, let's rally around it.
Do you know what the sad thing is? I honestly think if he'd won the Europa League final, he'd have that option.
Yeah, me too.
I do think he'd have enough credit in the bank just from winning that trophy, from showing that he can do it, from showing he can get you over the line in a competition where they could go, all right, this is awful, but he's just won the Europa League last season, we're giving him to end the season. I think the fact he didn't raise more questions, and he hasn't got the, I've had loads of success elsewhere to fall back on. No. His only success was in Norway 9 years ago, and it ain't enough. No. It's enough to sort of get you in a caretaker role, which got him the permanent job because of his performances and results, under him. But it's not enough to fall back on and go, this isn't Fergie at Aberdeen where he went, I won 3 Scottish titles and broke the stranglehold of Celtic and Rangers, and, I've got...
At a time when there were multiple world-class Scottish players.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
A very good league.
Well, Scotland was it was riding high.
Yeah.
I won a European trophy in Scotland. I did all these things, and I finished second at United as well. Let's not forget Fergie did that before the pressure was really on. Ollie hasn't got that, so I really do think that, despite the fact I asked the question, I don't think that will happen, and perhaps it shouldn't. I think he does need to be sort of held to account if these performances continue. Yeah. You did mention as well the Ralph Rangnick sort of rumours, stories.
It's another one of those people, isn't it, who most people haven't really read much about or know much about, including myself. I've done a lot of research since... Well,
mate, I've known about him for days.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
We are putting a video about him tomorrow for anyone who doesn't really know much about him, that will go into all the details of who he is, what he's been doing, where his reputation's come from. But he's one of those people who most people wouldn't pick or think of, and then the name gets sort of brought into Twitter or in newspapers, brought into people's consciousness. You read what he's done before and you go, well, that could be good.
Yeah.
There are plenty of managers who, well, that could be good, till the end of the season. But he apparently wants... sort of full control of things. He doesn't want to come in and just be a bit part manager that basically has to continue what Ole's done because we're not going with him long term. He wants to be able to do his own thing, and I can kind of understand that. Apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, he isn't the favoured option at United. That makes sense to me. No one would have put him at the top of the list until a week ago when the rumours started flying about him that, again, seemed to come from social media rather than Manchester United. Does it surprise you that he's not the favourite? Who would have put him as the favourite 2 weeks ago?
I mean, the fact you've not really heard much about him until last week, I know there's people probably watching who'll go, well, I know loads about him, he did this at Leipzig and he's done other things and he's he's respected by the likes of Tuchel and Klopp who rave about him and, he's a big advocate and one of the, I won't say the inventors, but one of the pioneers of sort of high press and all that sort of stuff, then I get all that. But it's not like this is a manager who's been around winning loads of things and setting the world alight. He's obviously an innovative coach who's sort of overseen a lot of good things. Is he the right man for Manchester United?
He has an air of Bielsa around him, doesn't he?
I was just thinking that.
Not the same.
Like, respected by other
well
coaches.
Respected.
Bit innovative.
Credited with influencing loads of people, but doesn't have a phenomenal CV.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So that's not like, we hate the guy, I don't know a lot about him. It's just that's sort of where his career's been. And is that perhaps someone we need who's got that experience, who's got that bit of respect? Would the players respond to him? Would they respond to him coming in? I'm not so sure. Maybe they would. Give us a like. Get involved in the comments. Get involved in the chat. Do you want chat? Chat? What's that even a word? Chat. Let us know. Would you like to see Ralph Rangnick coming in, or would you like to see? Is there anyone out there actually you'd like to see Ole give him more time? Because I've not really seen anyone saying that. Is everyone done with him? I think the Athletic ran a poll where it was like 80% were. What are you smirking at?
Well, you said, what would you like to see? And forgive my crassness here, but I'd like to see myself with very smooth balls this Christmas, Jay.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, I think that's, we're talking about Ole getting a sack, but we're not focusing on our own ball sacks. And that's what we should be focusing on. Well, thankfully, with Manscaped, we can do that because the holidays that have come early this year, as Manscaped have the gift that keeps on trimming. Hey? You like what I did there?
Here's one for you.
Go on.
In my pants, Christmas dinner, and all the trimmings, mate.
Nice!
Not like as in the trimmings from when I've shaved and I've left all the hair in there.
Yeah.
I just trimmed it nice.
Ah, right, okay.
Tell me about Manscaped, Jay.
Santa's beard isn't so appealing when it's coming out of your trousers, especially if it's white, because that's rather disconcerting. Yeah.
And I don't know how I got in my
I
trousers.
took my kids to a grotto once and Santa was smoking at the side of it as we arrived.
What's that, darling?
Right. What do you lot want? Anyway, it's not so appealing when it's coming out your trousers, and that's why Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have you covered this holiday season. Now available in your country. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to keep their trees trimmed and ornaments polished. No polishing your ornament on this channel.
You.
How dare you? Go to manscaped.com and use the code PADDOCKLIVE for 20% off and free shipping. So you need to listen up because it's time to kill 2 birds with 1 trimmer. Yeah?
Nice.
And get yourself and your lady a gift. And I'm talking about the Manscaped Performance Package. Yeah? The 4.0.
The 4.0.
None of this 2.0 or even 3.0 nonsense. We've moved on. We've evolved. We're at the 4.0 pinnacle of male grooming. All right? So, inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the signature lawnmower, trademarked 4.0, obviously.
Yeah.
This electric trimmer has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology, trademarked, to reduce cuts on your nuts.
Yeah.
That's what we want. Yeah?
Yeah.
We want to feel safer. It's also waterproof,
Yeah.
so you can use it in the shower or in the bath.
That's great.
Yeah? What do you prefer?
I just do it into the toilet. Here's what I do. This is genuinely what I do. So I sit, do you know normally you sit facing away from the bowl?
Yeah.
The cistern.
Do you straddle
I spin it round. I'm on there, reverse cowgirl style.
Right, okay.
And I'm sat facing the cistern
Yeah.
so that there's more of a sort of a wall in front of me to collect
Yeah.
hair rather than it going on the floor.
Right.
And then I just shave straight into the toilet. Then
Yeah.
what you do, couple of bits of tissue roll to sort of suck the hairs onto it, flush, second flush because there's still a bit of residue,
Yeah.
flush again and we're gone.
Right,
That
okay.
might be creating a fatberg under my apartment,
Yeah.
but you know what? That's the way I do it.
Yeah. You also do it in public toilets though as well, don't you?
I like to do it in public
Which
toilets,
is
Jay, because
even when the door's broken to the
No,
cubicle,
well,
which is a
that's-
little bit worrying.
yeah, because the council pay for them, so I don't even have to flush.
Clever lad. He's always thinking outside the box. I like to do it in the shower. A bit of me time where I can groom myself
Me
without any.
time?
Yes, nice.
So
So
what
the
do people have to
Manscaped.
do again, Jay? Come on, tell
Yeah. So what you need to do to get the Manscaped Performance Package, which includes the Crop Preserver
Yeah.
and Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturiser and toner. This hygiene bundle will also come with a pair of Manscaped anti-chafing boxers that is the perfect wrapping for your presents. So it also comes with the ear and nose hair trimmer, the weed whacker, as we like to call it, or they like to call it,
We
which
like
is
to call
also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. Nobody, not even Santa, wants hairs under their chimney.
Is that arsehole meant to be? Oh no, the nose. Sorry.
Can we not
Chimney.
talk about Father Christmas's bum?
Bum
Right,
box.
yes. So Manscaped's going beyond the groin with their new refined cologne and offers a light yet masculine pleasing fragrance
There's a lot here.
that will leave your lady on the naughty list this year.
Someone's been a naughty boy.
Hey, sounds like some sort of bawdy 1970s comedy.
It does.
Hey, you've been a
Ooh.
naughty girl, haven't you? Eh?
Right, our
Hey?
viewers can get 20% off
Yep.
and free shipping using the code Paddock Live at checkout. The link's in the description. Click it. It's Christmas time coming up. Get it for your partner. Get it for yourself. Get it for your mate. Treat someone. Yeah. Give them the gift of smooth balls and penis. Manscaped. Link in the description. What's
Yes.
next, Jay? When's the last time you gave someone the gift of smooth penis?
That is between me and my internet service provider. Right.
I knew that webcam was for something. Right, come on.
Yes. Right, this is a story I had this morning, but we're going to revisit it. Maguire replacement. Rumoured. Now, this, at first glance, seems like the most ludicrous story in the history of the written word. Why, only 2 and a bit seasons into his contract, would we be looking to replace the £80 million signing and captain of Manchester United, Harry Maguire?
Because he's had a bad 2 months.
He has had a bad 2 months, hasn't it? A very bad 2 months, and there's a school of thought that maybe
He'll never get it back.
we could be looking at going, all right, we're losing games, we're shipping goals, something needs to change. There's a player over in Spain called Jules Koundé, who's very, very good. Chelsea are after him. I think Real Madrid are sniffing around him as well. We want him. Can we get him? He's got a €93 million release clause, if my memory serves me, from this
What's that?
morning's story.
About 80 million quid.
Yeah,
Never
I think
been
so,
stung on
something
a
like
centre-back for that.
Yeah,
before.
so, I mean, this is one of those where I don't really see it happening. I could maybe see it if we were set on a back three and you think, right, we need at least 3 centre-backs who
Yeah.
are world-class or there or thereabouts, and then you can bring in Bailly and Lindelof when you've got injuries. But we're not. No. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see a back. When I say 3, I mean 3 centre-backs. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see that again after the debacle that was the City game where it just fell apart. And also the fact you can't take anything from the Spurs game because Spurs was rubbish. So I just feel like this is a bit of a people just looking at United were interested in Koundé before we got Varane. He's available with a buyout clause. They could get him. The shipping goals. Maguire's position might not be as safe as everyone thinks. Are they going to go out and buy another centre-back? If we buy another centre-back and don't buy a DM, I think that's madness.
Yeah, me too. I think this article is very much you've joined all the dots that are there, but you've drawn the wrong picture with it. Like, yes, Maguire's not playing very well. Yes, we were interested in Koundé before. Yes, he's got this buyout clause. All the things you mentioned there. but I don't think that ends up with Maguire being replaced by Jules Koundé. I just don't see it happening.
No, I agree, and I think that I hate when people use this argument, but I'm gonna do it myself.
Go on.
Well, I think the fact that we're even talking about it is really worrying. Because normally I wouldn't even bother mentioning that. I'd just be like, that's just nonsense. But it's like you are looking at going, how are you gonna fix this? How are you gonna change it? Are they gonna just spend money in January? Is that gonna be the answer? Are they gonna go, okay, maybe we get Jesse Lingard goes, and maybe Paul Pogba goes, maybe Donny van der Beek goes in January, and that brings in about 60 million, 70 million quid in total, or whatever. And maybe we go out and spend that money on a centre back. Lots of maybes, I get it. But with Maguire, it's not great in a minute. Now, I saw some training videos from England and, him scoring a goal for England or whatever in training. I'm just hoping he goes away with England. We've got Albania and San Marino. Not exactly two of the most testing teams.
No.
Has a decent couple of games for England. Gets a bit of his confidence back.
Yeah.
Gets into the groove of things. Hopefully keeps a couple of clean sheets.
Yeah.
And comes back a better player for Manchester United. Back to where he used to be. Because I still will not have that Harry Maguire's a bad footballer.
No, and he's been shit the whole time.
He hasn't. He really hasn't. He's been awful this season. I'll hold my hands up and admit that. But he was good his first season. Played 38 games, got us a third. Played 34 games last season in the league. And we missed him when he got injured.
I was going to say, that Europa League final, the consensus was, if he'd have played, we probably wouldn't have lost.
Yeah,
That's genuinely what was being said by a lot of people. That wasn't a controversial thing. And then the next game he plays for Manchester United onwards, he's been really poor. But yeah, he's sort of rewriting the entire 2 and a bit years.
I know. He has got to sort it out though.
Yeah, of course.
He has.
That's
because you're going to get to a point where you're going to go, I don't care if he caps in, I don't care if he 80 million quid. You're costing us too many goals. And the big issue we've got at the minute is he plays on that left-hand side, and Luke Shaw's also joining him in having a shocker of a season. So down that left-hand side, you don't even have to be a tactical genius to work out. If you're attacking United, go down your right, you're going to get a load of joy.
And especially when we created so much off that left-hand side last season, for it to be faltering so badly now, I think that's a big reason, or one of the big reasons why we are struggling so much this season, because those two just have not got their form, and they did start a lot of attacks for us last season down that left-hand side. Any heat maps or pass maps that you want to look at from United over the last couple of years, it's all been down the left, and at the minute, we're sort of impotent from that side.
We are, and it's painful. And the one thing he was thinking after the Liverpool game was, right, get it together, Maguire and Shaw, sort it out. Let's not have any more errors, because we had about 4 down that side against the Scousers. And what happens for City's goal? Well, mainly the second one, wasn't it? It's just a complete shambles between them two and De Gea.
Do you know something? I couldn't think of that second City goal then. I've seen it probably 20 times, and I've literally blacked it out. I remember it now, hitting De Gea on the chest and going in, but for a second, when you said second City goal, I was like, I'm not thinking about that day. I couldn't think of it.
Do you know what the worst thing about both those goals were? You could see him like 5 passes ahead or whatever. Like when you can see, that he's given the ball away there. He's not closed him down. This is coming. You could sense it in the ground. You can feel it. And it's like, when it went in, there was almost like an air there was a bit of confusion because at first it looked like it hadn't gone in. And then it's just like, it's so easy for teams, and it's got to get sorted out. And I don't think Harry Maguire is ever going to be the blood and thunder Brian Robson, straightening his armband, grabbing opponents by the scruff of the neck and chinning them type of captain that a lot of people want to see. But he has got to start organising his defence. He has got to take responsibility. He can't just go, I'm just a player here. No, you're a captain. You've been made captain. You're an experienced defender. You're in the peak of your career, sort of age-wise. You've got to get hold of it, man, because we can't just keep playing you because you cost a lot of money, because you're costing us goals. Should we move on?
Yes.
From Maguire and Koundé and all that jazz. Paul Pogba, we've not spoke about Paul the Beal Pogba, have we, for about half an hour?
Hey.
Pogba wants to break the Premier League salary record. You can see that from the graphic. According to L'Equipe over in France, when questioned in private, Pogba insisted his desire to extend his deal at United with the assumed aim of breaking all salary records. Where do you stand on that?
I think it's slightly unfair on Paul Pogba the way that that's written. And we've sort of echoed it there, but I wanted to raise the point, them saying he wants to break the salary record. What's actually happened is United have supposedly offered him a deal that is higher than anyone who's playing in the league at the minute. I think it's Aubameyang and De Gea both on around 375,000. Rumoured Pogba to be offered around 400,000. So basically, the offer he would be agreeing to, if he does agree to any, would make him the highest paid player in the league. He hasn't come out with this bucket list of things, one of them is to be the highest paid player in the league, which is what this suggests. He wants to break the record, like he's got Norris McWhirter there with a stopwatch and a clipboard going, I'm going to break the world record for most money earned in the Premier League in a week. It's not like that. Do you know what I mean? This isn't some record attempt. It's just that he wants the contract that they've offered him, supposedly, of around 400,000. So I think the wording is slightly unfair to Pogba. Again, we're sort of back where we always are with Paul Pogba. Is he worth it? And at the minute, the answer is no. I think I saw a stat the other day. He's missed 89 games through injury for United since he's come back, which is the equivalent of probably 2 seasons if you're playing 45 games a season. 2 of the 6 seasons he's been here, 2 of the 5 and a bit seasons he's been here, he's missed.
Me and you
that's a lot for a player who's, what was he, 23 when he came back?
Over on the other side of this room a year ago, and we spoke about Paul Pogba. We both respect Paul Pogba. You more or less got on this channel by sort of being honest and defending him and sort of pointing out the fact that whether you like Pogba or not, he's one of our, if not our most talented player on your fan cam. And you were right as well. And it was like, we were talking about it and we're going, my main concern with Pogba isn't even his ability and consistency, or that is an issue. Yeah. It's his injury record. Yeah. He misses chunks of the season when we need him. You go back to that season when we finished a distant second to City. He missed a bit of the season then when we needed him. Yeah. Then you go back to the season under Ollie when Ollie came in, and the season when Ollie was in his first season as permanent manager. Yeah. He missed a chunk of the season then. Yeah. Came back. Lockdown helped because it gave him an extra bit of time to come back. Yeah. Came back and was obviously a very important player and did really well. But he does this. He misses like 2 or 3 months.
I think when we either top or within touching distance of the top when he got injured for 2.5 months. Yeah. And by the time we came back, we weren't near.
Because I remember doing a thing on the radio where they were saying we were top, you're right. Yeah. And he was saying, can United stay top? And I was like, the only way this happens for me is if, at the time Eric Bailly was on fire, if Bailly stays fit and if Pogba stays fit, I don't see either of those things happening. And I think within a week they were both injured. Yeah. So you're right, his injury record, and it's not necessarily his fault. I don't think he's going out drinking 12 pints of beer and not looking after himself every night. He obviously looks after himself physically, but he is getting injured a lot. And he does get injured a lot. That's just a fact. He misses a lot of games for injury. So I just think that is a main issue with me, Paul Pogba. And if you've got a player like Pogba, who you rely on, who try and work into a system, because it's not easy. He doesn't sort of fit straight in. He's not a DM or he's not a number 10, not when Bruno's there. So you have to find a way to fit him in. If you do all that, and then you have him for 3 weeks, and then he's off again for 2 weeks, he's injured, or you have him for a month, and then he has 2 amazing games where he's phenomenal, and then he has 2 awful ones, and then he's injured. It's just not sustainable. So I want to see Paul Pogba staying, but I'm at the point now where I think if he did move on, I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be as gutted as I would have been previously. If that makes sense, I would be a little bit disappointed. My main disappointment with Pogba moves on is when we got him, when he came back from Juventus, I thought he will leave here with a title under his belt.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. I thought him and Jose would. Now, I was wrong about Jose, obviously, but I thought I can't imagine a scenario where Paul Pogba leaves this club and doesn't win the Premier League at one point, or even the Champions League. And let's face facts, if he does go in the summer, he's not going to win either, is he? So
probably not.
No, it is sad. Yeah. And I think that more and more people, from the comments and from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing at the ground and stuff, people are just getting a bit bored of it now. Yeah. People are bored anyway, but now they're like, do you know what? And also, the last few weeks have been pretty bad for him because he got sent off against the Scousers after giving the ball away for their 5th, so it wasn't really a great sort of cameo for him. Yeah. I know the game was already lost. I'm not blaming him for the game at all. I'm just saying it wasn't a great cameo because it wasn't. He plays against Atalanta when he isn't suspended, and for me, that's probably his worst performance in a United shirt. He doesn't have many games that bad, and he was just terrible. And then now he's suspended again for the Watford game. Well, that doesn't matter because he's injured. He got injured with France again, which upsets people because he's going away with France and picking up a knock that's going to cost him till January. And by the time January comes around, he could sign a deal with an overseas club, not to leave straight away, but to go in the summer.
Agreement. He literally might not play for United again until he has a deal with another club.
Yeah,
it's a tough position.
I know it is, and it's just such a shame because there's so much to like about Pogba. Yeah. There are certain things Paul Pogba does. That Leeds game, I was watching him, and I'm thinking, that is a player that is doing things other players cannot do.
Oh, yeah.
They can't do that.
Like, you talk about players who are physically gifted.
Yeah.
His dribbling, strength, passing ability, long-range shooting, his vision are incredible.
That ball to Mason for the Leeds, our second goal, was inch perfect for about a 60-yard pass on the deck. I think it was on the deck. Or it was a low pass anyway. I can't remember if it was skimming on the deck or he just played it at his feet. But no other player probably on the pitch can even think about pulling that off, and he executed it perfectly. I was watching, I think it was a Newcastle game. Newcastle will just set up like this defensive wall on the edge of their box, and it's one of the hardest things as a footballer to just do that key pass, do that pass that unlocks the defence.
Yeah, that's the pass you pay so much money for.
That is, if it was easy, everyone, you can't. It's so difficult, and he did it.
No.
He did it time and time again. And he was like, right, and he managed to just find a pass that unlocked it, and Mason was in, or whoever, or Jesse got, or Bruno, or whatever. And I was watching, thinking, this guy's just elite. But then you have that, and then you have just anonymous performances where he's shouting. He seems to shout to himself almost, like screaming to the gods. Like it's really, it is really weird.
Things, if again, not sort of to plan on with life without Olive too much, but I think maybe for a season or two, if you had a manager that he feared enough to be more defensively disciplined and to really sort of do that job, and you say to him, when you've got the ball in your own half, you have to take one or two touch and that's it. Yeah. You can't do this thing where you get the ball and you want to show off how strong you are by holding someone off and then going one way and dummying and turning the other way and trying to skin him and make him look an idiot, which he does all the time. If you had a manager that came in and really drilled it into him, you're playing deep, you're playing alongside Fred or whoever it is we sign, but you have to be quicker on the ball, I think maybe you could see him in that role. Yeah. But at the minute, like you said, there's no obvious place that he fits in this current team. And even when he does fit in, he gets injured. And when he's playing, he's inconsistent. So it's a tough ask at the minute, Paul Pogba.
It is. AO, who's been a member of the Academy for 12 months, thanks for your support, says, Pogba's an incredible player, but it hasn't gone perfectly. Injuries, and we hardly have a proper place for him in our setup. Square peg, round hole, up the paddock. I mean, it's the whole chicken and the egg theory, and there's a little bit of truth in both of it. Have we found the right system for him? No. Has he always had the best players around him? No, he probably hasn't. He could do with a DM behind him that's a proper DM. He hasn't had that. But also, has he been good enough, consistently enough? Probably not. No. Do you know what I mean? It's a culmination of all those things. And it's like, if he does go into summer, which is looking increasingly likely, I'll just feel a little bit like this didn't pan out the way any of us hoped. In 2017, I was there in Stockholm when he lifted that Europa League trophy. I had no idea, not even an inkling that I actually thought that would be the last time I see Paul Pogba lift a trophy for Manchester United. I know it's for every United player, that's the way it's been. But I thought first of many, thought this guy now, still relatively young, had a good season, played well in the final, obviously scored. Next season, title challenge, here we come. Never really happened, and it's never really happened since. No. And it's such a crying shame. And another crying shame is that this podcast is over. This live is over.
It's over.
Thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring us. Check out the code there. Use the code Paddock Live. Should be a link, I think, in the description. Manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping. So big shout out to them. Joe, where can people find you?
Joe Smith 93 on Twitter.
Joe Smith 93 on the Twitter. You know where to find me, Jay Motti, and I'll be outside Old Trafford in the morning with the Paper Talk as well. So make sure you're checking that out. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. With your help, yes, we can do it. That's been Joe Smith. I'm Jay Motti. This has been Paddock Live. Thanks for watching.